All right, good afternoon, councillors and staff and members of the gallery. Welcome to our March Ordinary Council meeting. Where's my crayon gone to? I'll find it here in a second. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded and live streamed. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Combined Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. I'll call the first item, applications for leave of absence. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Now, also, I might just amend that. We have no leave of absence, but we have Councillor Paul online. Can you hear me? Yep. Could I have somebody move and second that we endorse to accept him coming in online today because he's not feeling well and doesn't want to spread his germs? Thanks, Councillor O'Ryan. Seconded by Councillor Rawson. All those in favour of that? Against? That's carried. So you're welcomed.
Thank you, everyone.
Paulie, just if you want to speak or make sure you yell out. I'll try and keep an eye on you, but just yell out if something comes up.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone. Came down with the flu, and although I'm on the way up, I didn't want to contaminate everyone. So I think I've got Heidi lined up that when I do this, she'll tip you off.
Thanks. All right, item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Is by Councillor O'Ryan, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Does anybody have anything to declare? Councillor O'Ryan, yeah. It's confidential. Righto. Councillor Rawson, did you say you have one?
Yeah, possibly item 22 on page 38. I'm a very near neighbour, like literally, not quite a neighbour, but may as well be. So perceived conflict of interest potentially. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to ask that question. Thank you. Are you going to leave the room?
I'm happy to.
It's your call. I'm happy to. You will? Yeah. All right. Councillor Batten.
Item 23, sponsorship program, as President of Moreland Advancement Group.
And you'll leave.
I shall leave the room.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Just go back to yours in the confidential. Councillor Ryan, will you leave the room or will you stay? No. General Manager saying no. All right. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3 is declaration for political donations. Move in a seconder, please. Councillor Nash, thank you. Councillor Ryan, seconded. Does anybody have anything to declare? I've got nothing. Nothing? Thank you, everybody. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 4 is the mayoral minute appointments, which I have moved. I have a table of report. I know that Councillor Rawson has, Councillor Jones has, Councillor Ryan, Councillor Nash, Councillor Weaver, Councillor Batten has. Geez, they're all behaving. Scared, Heidi. Councillor Paul has. Councillor Pearson, did you say you? Yeah, thank you. Wow. Very good. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 5 is committee of the whole. Move in a seconder, please. Yep. Thanks to Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Does anybody wish to call any items in committee of the whole?
Mr Mayor, could I please call item number 10, the Australia Day, Anzac Day, and item number 30, please.
30?
30, yes,
Yep.
please. Let me double check that. Yes, item number 30. Thank you.
30 and 31 in supplementary. Does anybody wish to call any other items in committee of the whole? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 6 is the confirmation of the minutes. And we have February ordinary, March environmental and the March infrastructure. With a mover and a seconder. Councillor Batten, thank you. Seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Is there anything from the minutes? All happy? All right, put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 7 is the National General Assembly motions. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Thank you for everybody for those. Got 4 very good items there to mention at the National General Assembly. Does anybody wish to discuss them any further?
Can I just make a quick comment, Mr Mayor? I think we should acknowledge the work that Robin Little's done in framing these motions and the background information provided. I mean, an absolute privilege, I think, to have a staff member who's got the capability to do that sort of work, obviously with the assistance of the rest of the team.
Yeah, very well said, Councillor Batten, and that's why when she goes on leave, we get lost.
Obviously seen through the General Manager's report, it's not.
Yeah, no, she does a great job. Any further discussion? No, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 8 is the 2025 Australian Women Local Government Association Annual Conference. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. All right, the resolution is to see which interested councillors would like to go.
Yes, I'm interested. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ryan? Councillor Weaver? Okay.
I'd like to nominate the Mayor to come along.
Yeah. All right. I'll accompany you, Margaret. Chaperone. All right. Is anybody else? No? All right. Well, I'll put that. Are you happy to go, Councillor Nash? Are you nominated? Yes? All right. Yeah.
Would you say it was the same weekend as the balloon glow? Is it? Yeah. You may already be needed for another event as well. Just checking, just to make sure. Yeah.
We'll work that out.
Work it out.
All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 9 is Regional Development Australia, RDA, Central West 10 for 10 Leadership Dialogue. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Very worthwhile project. Any discussion at all on that? I think they nominate the mentors. We don't have too much of a say there, I don't think. I think they have them all lined up already. Yeah. Councillor. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, as you have said and other councillors have said, it's a fantastic program. Previously, students from Cabonne local government area have participated in this, and I had the privilege last year of going along and speaking about the role of local government in our community and across the Central West, but just to acknowledge that two of the previous participants in this have gone on to become Cabon Youth Ambassadors, being Claire Wright and Hayley Stevens. So it's obviously a very worthwhile program and initiative run by RDA. The other thing to highlight is that obviously we're reviewing our CSP and putting more focus on youth, and this is another great initiative that Council is working with RDA to support. So it's again ticking that youth box. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, put that, all those in favour of that? Against, that's carried. Item 10 is in Committee of the Whole. Item 11 is donation request by Mildred Moves Group. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Nash.
Yes, Mr Mayor. This is really a great initiative that has come about by Catherine. She's just done a really good job, and I'd love to see us support it, because they put in for they went into a competition and they won it, and they're really just, the 50 people are actually involved in this, and it's going ahead really well. So I'd like to support this if we could, please.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Paul.
Yes, I'd never actually heard of this group before, but it sounds like an absolutely amazing group. So well done to everyone involved and Manildra. And I'll probably sit down and have a good catch up with Barlene to see how it works. So well done.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Thank you, everybody. Item 12 is request for donation of general rates. The Gumble Hall. Mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion? No? All good? All right, well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Well done. Item 13 is Cabon Floodplain Management Advisory Committee Determination of Community Representatives. Move and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Jones, second by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Ryan.
One of the alternate Canowindra community rep, I'm just letting you know, doesn't live in Cabon Shire, but I'm assuming that's not an issue because Ollie Stone doesn't live in Cabon Shire and he's on another committee. Les Springett's alternate Canowindra community rep.
Through Mr Mayor, the terms of reference don't require them to reside in but they have an interest in the community.
Well, I think we'll be lucky to have him there.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Now, item 14 is the Cabon Council Roads Advisory Committee Determination of Community Reps. Now, we're going to have to withdraw that, and if you want an explanation, I'll hand over to the Deputy General Manager, but there's been a glitch in our computer system in that some of the applications weren't received, and it was brought to our attention yesterday. So we're going to withdraw that and put it back up for the next meeting. So can I just get a mover and a seconder we withdraw that? So moved by Councillor Jones, second by Councillor Weaver. Everybody happy with that explanation, or you want to speak to a bit more, Matt? No? Everybody happy with that? Yep. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 15 is expression of interest for the Pools Advisory Committee. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Nash moves, second by Councillor Weaver. Any discussion on the Pools Advisory Committee? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 16 is confirmation of the Cabon Local Traffic Committee meeting minutes. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by councillor Nash, seconded by councillor Pearson. Any discussion on those minutes? Councillor Rawson.
Sorry, this is item 16?
Yep.
Yep, okay, thanks. Look, a couple of these events appear to have already occurred, is that correct?
I know one has, the Grenfell Walk has done, has
Yeah.
been.
So, look, the reason I ask that question is that it just seems to be, in some instances, some, a bit of a lag time between when the information gets finally to the traffic committee, a decision's sort of made, and then before anyone in the local area knows that these things are happening, it comes to council for approval, and it's already happened. So I'm just wondering, is there a better way, perhaps we can investigate a better way of making that process a little bit more timely? As you know, we've had some issues in the past with events that have impacted on local businesses in certain areas, and partially to do with an issue with the traffic committee. And I'm just wondering whether or not we can't, improve that process a bit, just so that people can know in good time that these sorts of events are happening through their area.
Over to you, Matt.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Take that on board. Thank you, councillor. We have been moving on improving the timeliness of the consideration of these. There are several factors that are some that are in council's control and some that aren't. And on some of these events, a lot of chasing of information to be able to get them through traffic committee can take quite a while, and does lead to stretched timeframes. Inevitably, a lot of these applications are done not with the consideration of the approvals, the timeframes that have to be undertaken. We are getting better. We're working with Orange City Council in particular, because a lot of these events go over boundaries, and improving with them because they have the same frustrations as what comes through the council officers and to the traffic committee as well. So we are getting better. We're on a path of improvement. There will take some time there, and even once we do go through that journey of improvement, there will be ones that come through inevitably. Unfortunately, it's human nature.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment and a question to the Deputy GM through you, Mr Mayor. It's interesting, I note here that these two well tours is identified here. Only last week they came through Bond. And I'm wondering whether there's a requirement that they have a vehicle in front and a vehicle behind, because they did not. They in fact had one marked vehicle behind and an unmarked vehicle, which obviously, carrying spare parts or something. But the bike riders then turned right off Garra Road, came down into Molan with no warnings in front of them that they were actually on some sort of a tour. So I wonder whether we should be putting a stipulation on any of these things that they actually have suitable vehicles in front and behind.
Was that on Saturday? Saturday? Yeah. Yeah, I drove. Yeah, you're right. There was no. I got them at the Big Dipper there. There was no warning vehicle in front at all.
Through Mr Mayor, we'll take that feedback on, and I'll take it back to the local traffic committee to review. All the traffic control plans for every event are all different, and I'll take it through to the committee and see what they would like to do with regards to mandating standardised vehicle escorts for wheeled events.
Any further discussion on the Roads Advisory Committee meeting? No, sorry, yeah. The traffic meeting, I should say, item 16. No. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against carried. Item 17 is the confirmation of the Roads Advisory Committee meeting. Move in a second, please. Councillor Rawson, thank you. Second by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on those minutes? No discussion. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against carried. Item 18 is adoption of the showground plans of management for Marlong, Yagara and Kidal. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by councillor Jones, seconded by councillor Pearson. Any discussion at all? Councillor Jones.
Just quickly, Mr Mayor, just to reiterate that this has been an ongoing project for some time. A significant community consultation across the three towns, and I think this will be a fantastic outcome for the use of that land or of those showgrounds, and also in the ability for those groups and also council to seek grant funding into the future, having these plans of management. Thank you.
No, thank you, well said. And the only thing I'll add to that is you said a lot of work, and a lot of work's been done by the staff, in particular Mandy. So on behalf of council, could you pass on thanks to Mandy's work? As I said, she's done a power of work and a lot of engagement with the community herself and these groups. So well done to her. Any further discussion? Oh, all right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Yep, go.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, no, I just wanted to agree with you that it's a big lot of work that's been done with the showgrounds, and I can see it working a lot better in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, I'll put it now. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Item 19 is a Blubblia Riverwalk joining land lot 3, DP 576079. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by councillor Batten, second by councillor Weaver. All right, any discussion on that?
Yes.
Yes.
In the recommendation, you say the council approved leasing the land for grazing, and then further down you say for cropping, which I assume you meant for lucerne farming. I mean, I would imagine, I don't know what the fencing's like or going to be like, that because lucerne only grows in the summer months. A lot of people would put stock on their lucerne after they've grown it anyway, so maybe you shouldn't be so specific, maybe just for farming purposes. I don't know.
Taken on board and
I was
adjusted.
I was actually going to make that amendment to say exactly the same thing, which was just for agricultural purposes or something like that. So it'll cover all bases, just a quick amendment of that recommendation. Because I saw the same thing.
Yeah. And Councillor Paul.
I just took it as a typo that you'd left the word cropping out of the recommendation. That was all, because you did mention it further below. So, but that would be a great idea, because imagine walking on that path with the lights at night and the lucerne growing next to you. It'd be perfect.
So, for the purpose of the recommendation, we're only changing one word from grazing to agricultural purposes. So, is everybody happy with that?
Beehives going. Sorry? Beehives.
The EOI process will what the use is going to be by the person.
In the contract.
Yeah, it'll come back. The contract will come back to council with the exact words in it.
Okay.
So before we approve it. So but we're saying agricultural purposes, but there are no beehives. Yeah. Yeah.
You're right.
I've had people say to me, and I have spoken to Matthew about this, but there was access being made through that paddock by cars onto the pathway down to the swing bridge. And I just wondered, have we put a padlock on that to stop any further traffic? I just can't believe that people would go that far as to go through two gates to get to the swinging bridge, but they do. But, yeah, I just want to know how do we stop that?
Through Mr Mayor, a customer service request has been raised, and we'll give you a call once it has been, the padlock has been put on there, But that's the only feasible way to restrict the access. That gate is the access to that lot. As it stands at the moment, it's a standalone lot. It's the only road access in and out to that point. Depending on how this expression of interest process goes, it may gain an access via an alternate route, but we'll have to go through that process once it's goes.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, just make a comment, Mr Mayor. This is probably, it's a high visibility project which actually shows what can be achieved when we get things right. One of the things that would concern me though, at this point in time, is the actual river itself. If you look at it, it's a mess. Since the flooding event, there's been trees, and they're weed trees, they're not native trees, that have actually blocked that river. So that walkway, in my opinion, being a layperson, not an engineer, that walkway is at risk if a flooding event actually occurs. Have we had any discussion with fisheries about doing something about actually allowing that to be tidied up a bit? Obviously, we've got to take into account fish habitat, but some of those trees that are in the river are actually blocking it, and I would suggest that walkway is potentially at risk.
I'll hand you to the Deputy General Manager for a comment, but we've had this raised several times, and at the last consultative meeting in Canowindra that was raised as well, so over to you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, there is a budget allocation made to vegetation clearing within creeks. I'm aware that the Environmental Officer before Christmas attended inspections of all the creek tributaries that we put budget towards in mind to put together a plan. I'll arrange for a report to be brought forward to Council on that program.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll put that, bearing in mind we're changing grazing to agricultural, and the strict agricultural term will be in the contract. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 20 is proposed footpath from Candlebark Close, Canowindra. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Poole.
Thank you. The recommendation is spot on. Option one, if you don't live in Canowindra, brings you out at McDonald's Lane, gives you the access to pretty well the middle of everything in town: the squash courts, the sports oval, the fitness path, the hospital, Health One. With the main street probably a similar distance in the other direction, whereas option two is sort of a path to really nowhere. So yeah, well done. Option one it is.
Thank you. Councillor Rawson.
Just a quick question. Is there, I must say it's been a while since I've had a look at the SAMP. Is there actually a pathway designated for Clybourne Street to sort of link up all of those? There's a lot of pathways going northwards along there, but there doesn't appear to be any going across Clybourne Street.
Through Mr Mayor, it appears not, but I'd have to take it on notice and actually have a look at the plan itself. I'm only going by what the photo is, or the map in the report. I'd have to go back to the actual plan itself and check.
Just to link that across seems like an obvious thing to do at some point too.
Yep. I can confirm that, but
even the general manager is. Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd have to take that on notice, and I can liaise directly with Councillor Rawson on that.
Happy with that? Yep. All right, any further discussion at all? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 21 is road closure report after advertising lot 5 DP 263140 and lots 1 and 2 DP 553286. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that? Councillor Rawson.
Just that I agree with the recommendation to decline the request for the reasons given, and what's more, I've actually had reason to look at a lot of the earliest earliest maps of our region, the original trackway from the 1830s that went from Orange all the way out to Boree, and that Mitchell went along in his journeys, goes straight through the block that would be would be affected by this closure. So there's a potential historic site. In fact, it's the location of one of Captain Rain's sheep stations from the time when Mitchell went through. So there's a potential historic site sitting right next door to the Karst Conservation Reserve, which would then be not accessible if this paper road wasn't there. So I certainly agree with the declining.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 22 is the proposed road reserve purchase adjacent to lot 1184 DP 11799438. And note that Councillor Rawson is declared an interest and has left the room. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Any discussion? No? Straightforward? Okay. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 22, Councillor Rawson passed as per the recommendation. Item 23 is the sponsorship program, and note that Councillor Batten declared an interest and has left the room. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on the recommendation to item 23? All happy? Good cause? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Councillor Batten, passed as per the recommendation. You didn't even get a chance to get a cup of tea. Item 24 is the Events Assistance Program. And item number 1 has been withdrawn from this as well. So we're only dealing with item number 2. All right, can I move it? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Any discussion on 500 for the Yarra Boot and Bow Ties Ball? All good? All right, I'll put, Councillor Jones, yeah.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, just very briefly, obviously the committee over there have been working hard to make this a biennial event, but I just wanted to acknowledge that this, $500 will go towards raising much needed funds for additional things for the school, but what a fantastic job the Yarra Public School did following our floods of 2022. In terms of the school up there became, well, firstly it was an evacuation centre, but then went on to become home not only to the students who attend there, but also the students of St Joseph's Catholic School and the students and children of the Yarra Community Children's Centre. So the Yarra Public School have gone above and beyond for their community, and I think it's great that we can provide some small amount of support for their event.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 25 is the East Molong planning proposal. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Any discussion on the planning proposal? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I appreciate there's been an enormous amount of work gone into this over quite a long period of time, and I congratulate staff for an enormous amount of work that's clearly gone into developing it to this stage. Look, I've really only got a couple of quick questions. There's no mention there of, in the DCP of the use of rainwater tanks to collect stormwater on each of the properties, which is sort of best management practice in many other similar types of developments. Might be something worth considering, that each person has a rainwater tank. And the other question was related to the Western Access Road, which is, I think, Bernie Cole Street, is that right? It's just a laneway that goes along this western side. Doesn't appear to be in the development itself, but definitely all of those lots that are lining that side would have to enter via that laneway. I'm just not sure how that's being dealt with, whether we're required to put in a road through there, or if the developers are required to put in a road. If so, it's not part of this, what's in this document. So it's just really a question about what to do about that site, this site, and about the rainwater tanks. Thanks.
Through you, Mr Chair. To answer your first one on rainwater tanks, that's actually dealt with under clause 6.2 of the LEP, so that's just a standard head of consideration. Be reinforced in the DCP, but it's already covered by the LEP. In the hierarchy of documents, the local environmental plan has more statutory enforcement provisions in the DCP, which is only a local document and has no legal enforcement. So it already is there and has been since 2012 under clause 6.2 of the LEP for residential land. Your second one is more a development question at a later stage, so it doesn't form part of the rezoning of land. What you're talking about is something that is taken into consideration on the merit-based assessment at the A stage. And the concept plan is indicative as a concept. Fine-tuning happens after the rezoning and when a subdivision application is then lodged. And that is then merit-based assessed with the input from all the relevant departments, including in this case engineering for roads. So it doesn't affect the rezoning. At this stage we're looking at changing the zoning from the existing large lot res down to an urban level, and the finer detail is then is a merit-based assessment at the time of the subdivision.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment in support of this. And it's good to see it actually get to this point, Mr Mayor. When the settlement strategy was put out for community consultation, I can tell you now that Molong Advancement Group is very, very strongly in favour of this East Molong development happening, because it was consistent with what we were saying all the way along and what Council's position was of infill development rather than expansion into more agricultural land. So I think what you'll find is that when this goes out for consultation, I think you'll find that the community will be actually quite strongly in support of it. Thank you.
Yeah, look, past comment, it ticks a lot of boxes, and that's one of them, but we're also ticking a box where we're providing housing high and dry, out of harm's way, out of floods. So, not we're providing, but the developer is providing. So, I think it's quite a very good proposal. Any further comment? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 26 is questions for next meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Nash. Does anybody have any questions for next meeting? Councillor Pearson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have two questions. The first one being, a resident has approached me about traffic coming in into Molong from the Wellington side via Adams Corner, Market Street and Hill Street. In particular, heavy vehicles such as B-doubles that aren't adhering to the 60-kilometre speed limit, which is posing a risk to motorists that are coming out of Kite Street. And the resident has also pointed out that during speeding blitzes that police have pulled over several large vehicles for exceeding the speed limit, and the resident has asked me to put it to council if the issue could be put to the relevant committees to consider the placing of signage along the highway warning people, motorists, sorry, of vehicles exiting Kite Street. Thank you.
Taken on board, and that'll go through the traffic committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The general manager also suggested that you could probably advise that resident to write to the traffic committee in person as well.
Yes, I will advise them on that.
Thank you. Oh, your second question? Yes. Yeah.
Not long ago, volunteers at the Molong yarn markets came to me and told me that on several occasions when visitors have come in, they've taken a great interest in the rocks that are on the village green, and they have asked them about what the story of these rocks are and information about them. And what the volunteers have asked me to put to council is if there's a possibility of putting some sort of sign or something along those lines, giving them information about the rocks on the village green. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Taken on board, and I'll bring some information back at a future date. Thank you, Councillor Pearce.
Thank you.
Councillor Nash.
Yeah, I've just got a question if we could get a report on the road, Yellow Box Road in town at Manilda is in really bad disrepair. Just wondering whether there's any plans to get it widened and fixed up a bit. Thanks, Matt.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, two items of relevance to that matter. The first is the development of the mill that's there. There will be some requirements to address the entrance in that location. Secondly, council has within its draft budget papers improvements to Yellow Box Road in that vicinity and outwards, and that's coming forward to council at the next council meeting.
Any further questions for next meeting? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 27 is business paper items for noting. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Batten. Does anybody wish to call out any of those items for noting? No? All right. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 28 is matters of urgency. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Thank you. Does anybody have anything urgent? Still nothing urgent? I haven't had an urgent matter yet. It's good. No. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 29 is Committee of the Whole section. Could somebody move that we go into Committee of the Whole? Thank you, Councillor Rawson. Seconded by Councillor Jones. I can go back to that. Settle down. All right, so we had first up item 10, called into Committee of the Whole, which is Anzac Day. Could I have somebody move second that we talk about item 10? Thank you, Councillor Rawson. Seconded by Councillor Nash. All right, is everybody ready and got their pens out? I'll just go down in alphabetical order, I suppose. So we've got Boranor as a 1 p.m. service at the Boranor CWA Hall.
Mr. Mayor, as far as I know, it is happening. I mean, they've certainly, the Boranor Progress Association have put out feelers for someone to run the show, because the usual person, Bernie, is not going to be doing it this year, but it'll happen. Yeah, it'll happen. And yes, I'll attend.
So yeah, Councillor Rawson's happy to go there. And councillor Paul?
So I was just going to jump in. So I'm pretty mobile, so I'm not going to nominate for anything, but then I'll take whatever's left that people can't get to.
Righto, thank you, that's very good. So we've got Canowindra has got 6 a.m. dawn service, 9 a.m. wreath laying at the Soldiers Memorial Hospital, and then 10:30 march, followed by 11 a.m. service. Yep. There's not, so that's not on. Righto, so that's covered. Kidal is the 10 a.m. march from the Kidal Public School to the War Memorial Gates. Councillor Paul, 10 a.m. at Kidal. Righto. So
Yes.
between you, Councillor Rawson, thanks. Cumnock is 5:40 a.m. for a 6 a.m. service at the RSL Hall. We'll leave that there for a minute, Councillor Batten. Yagara, 5:45 a.m. dawn service, and then 10:45 for 11 a.m. Service. That's Yagara. 5:45 a.m. 5:45 a.m. dawn service, and then 10:45 march for 11 a.m. service. We'll just hang on. Well, I'll go backwards here. I'll go forward. We have Obley. I can go to Obley if you want. Or if you want to go to Obley, I don't care. Well, what about I do 5:30 at the Oval, 6:45 at Obley? Righto. Righto. 5:45? Manildra? So you said you're going to come knock? Yeah, I'll come knock. So then we got Molong at 5:45.
There's no reflaying in the, at the dawn service in Mull. Just so you're aware.
All right, and you got 10:30 for 11 o'clock. March 10:30, 11 o'clock service.
You want to do that, Mr Mayor? Or?
I might be too tired, 5:30.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help out much. I just got family there this day, so. Like, I'm happy to do Mullong, I just have family coming back for Anzac Day in Mullong. That's why I can't really do any of the other towns, sorry.
They're all council. So, in the end, have we got everything covered there? Oh, two gone, yeah. Yeah.
So I can do Mullong as well, I just, yeah, can't do.
So I think we're pretty much covered. All right, so what we'll do is we'll get that circulated, and we'll cover any gaps in between if there's an issue there. Thank you, everybody. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, can I
Yes.
just make a comment? For years, we had a lot of trouble trying to keep the traffic from coming while we were trying to march. And the last 2 or 3 years, it's been really good that we've had the traffic management, and I'd like to thank Matthew for that.
Yep, thank you. Right, we'll go to item 30 now, which is in the supplementary. Everybody with me in supplementary? That's development application 2024/0131, the two lot subdivision of 1093 Mitchell Highway. Lot 200 DP 1305199. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded Councillor Orion. Discussion.
I've got a question, Mr Mayor.
Yep. Councillor
I noted in the paper that the Transport for New South Wales didn't make comment on section 3.58 of the page 38 of the document. Question, was the traffic flow in terms of particularly truck movements along Ryder Street turning right and also back along
30.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon, Mr Mayor.
Well,
Jumped ahead.
Stay on 30. We can do that post anyway. Yep. So you're withdrawing your question?
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't
All right.
apply.
All right. Item 30. Any questions or discussion on item 30? Councillor Rawson.
This is just a boundary adjustment. I note all of the submissions in opposition to this. The majority of those were similar to previously, which is objections to there being any roadway going through Indira for both construction and for traffic, and that be the only method of entry into this area. That being said, and I totally understand and fully agree with those submissions, I think in this instance it's a boundary adjustment that probably is not something that we can really object to or stop. It's a subdivision but just to and a right of way allowing access to the highway for the building that already exists on that block. So I guess there's really nothing much more to say, that it's not something that we can really object to, because it satisfies the, I guess it's coming to council because of the many objections. The majority of those objections relate to potential future subdivision of the whole block and the entryway into Indira, or potential entryway into Indira, which is not part of this particular. I'm learning some things from Heather. That this is just a subdivision.
Yep, correct.
It satisfies the current LEP that's been changed, and so there's really not a lot anyone can do other than to agree to it.
Correct. Any further discussion? Not, I will put that and it's a division, so I need a show of hands. All those in favour? Against? It's unanimous. That's carried. All right, could I have somebody move that we put item 31 in committee of the whole, which we still are in committee of the whole? So moved by Councillor Ryan, second by Councillor Rawson. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 31. Mover and a seconder. Moved by councillor O'Ryan, seconded by councillor Weaver. Discussion. Councillor Batten.
Yeah, my question to the Deputy General Manager relates to comment by Transport for New South Wales that they didn't have any comments. However, for that particular intersection, from personal experience, quite a few truck movements along there, much larger than the truck that I drive. And I'm wondering whether there's been any investigation of the traffic flow, the numbers of different vehicles, both on Rodder and turning right, and also along Belubula Way. I know both of those, and you think about Belubula Way, is in fact an access route to the sale yards at Carcourt. So I'm just surprised that there's not been something here indicating some sort of a study, traffic study on this sort of thing. My reason for doing that, it's a corner block. Young families, parents with dropping kids off at preschool, and obviously my hair's pretty grey, but past experience, when you've got a 3-year-old going to preschool, they're very excited about getting out and going into the preschool or in this case into daycare. Can be difficult to manage. Just concerned from the safety aspect.
Mr. Chair, because you're looking at me. The referral to Transport New South Wales is established under a state environment planning policy, and in this case the property does not access onto Rod Street, so Transport for New South Wales was not obligated to provide any comment. Therefore it defaults to council as the regulator of the local roads, being the side road. So it's where the property gains its access. In this case, it's not gaining access to Rod Street, so Transport for New South Wales declined to make comment. That answers your first question. The second part, we didn't require, information wasn't provided as far as traffic study, nor would we normally do so. But at this stage, I might hand over to my learned colleague here from the transport side, who can speak more so on any history we have on any road numbers, traffic numbers and the like.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the engineering assessment for the site contained opinions with regards to the truck movements that are turning. So the use of theirs short-term stay, drop-offs and move, which would hopefully be contained within the site, but they're acknowledging there will be overflow onto the street. But the proximity to that corner needed to push those vehicles away from the corner to be able to allow trucks enough movement, sweep path to be able to pass, but also to get them away from the children away from the risk areas. Hence, the condition in place is with regards to an assessment of the vehicle sweep path and no stopping signs be placed at the intersection to get those vehicles dropping off children away from that intersection. So that's the level of assessment that was done by engineering staff on the matter.
Well, as you know, I drive on that road every day of my life and have for the last 35 years. And I know you said they're going to do the truck sweeping thing. I mean, I saw a truck yesterday going left across into that area on the, like off the road to make the right-hand turn. And they do that. If they're coming down Rod Street to go around that corner, there's like this, it's such a tight turn. It's really, like I worry about the high school kids walking across there. But my concern is that they say they're going to put 9 car parks, including the disabled. Don't they, and there's going to be 52 children. Isn't it meant to be 1 space per every 4 children, which comes to 13? So they don't even meet that criteria. There's no roadways around there that you can park. I don't know where anyone else would park on that road. If you're on the other side of Ferguson Street, across the other side of Rod Street, they've got one of those sort of the solid white lines where cars can pull in if they have to, but it's so narrow just at that spot. I mean, I really would like to see childcare in Canandra. I think it would be fantastic, but it terrifies me. And I know that it's childcare, so kids are coming in and going at different, it's not like preschool where they're all arriving at 9 or they're all leaving at whatever. But I asked one of my daughters how long it takes her kids to get them into preschool. They go to preschool in Orange. She said if she's got the two of them, it'd be 15 minutes once she logs in, signs them in, takes their backpacks off, sorts out what's going on. You know, particularly if you've got babies, explain what's happening that day. Like, it's a long and involved process leaving your kids at preschool. I just can't see that there's enough parking for it. So whether they reduce the numbers of children, I don't know. I mean, you only need one truck to do the wrong thing. And we'd never be able to walk back from that. Or one child to run.
Councillor Paul.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. I actually sent Deputy GM Heather an email, but I should have sent it to Matt. Sorry about that, Heather. It was more up his level. Peter's comments are certainly warranted, and I just wanted to make note of that although we seem to have it covered in the report, and the maps and the lining, there is actually a thing called the eye test, and that's the eye test when you're there on site, and it is absolutely a horrid corner, and I have no idea how it'll work. I'm going to vote for the proposal because Canandra and every town certainly needs childcare. Catherine just swayed me a moment there, because if it is staggered times, that'll probably help the situation rather than 40 kids all get out at 9 o'clock. But I think we need to be aware that there might be a little bit more work in it once it's up and running, because it's a terrible corner. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Webb.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I've, a bit like Catherine, I've lived in that area ever since I've been in Canandra. It is a shocking corner. It's tight for vehicles to get around, for trucks especially, B-doubles or whatever they call them. And living on Bellabula Way, the amount of trucks that come up and down there daily is incredible. I just think I would love to see a daycare centre set up in Canandra, but somewhere else other than the corner block there that can lead to, you know, maybe a sad time ahead. But there's got to be other places in Canandra that are safer than on a main road. That, you know, are trafficking trucks and people don't slow down. You know, they
swing around,
yeah.
don't they?
And we've got a business now started on the corner opposite to where this house is going, or this day care centre is going. There, people park on that side of the road in front of where the daycare centre is. The tyre service place, their employees park right up Rod Street. For any other parking for mothers or fathers to let their children off, I don't know where they're going to park. I mean, 9 parking spaces at the back of the facility isn't enough.
When's 9? Well, it's
I
meant to be 13.
really
The bottom line
applaud
is
the
it's
idea
meant-
of
yeah.
a childcare centre, but I think it's just too dangerous there.
Councillor Jones.
Just a question, given the conversation that's happening here and the concerns, legitimate concerns, are there any additional conditions that can be placed on this development to make the parking at drop-off pick-up safer, and also parking for enough of the childcare workers?
Yeah, look, I just asked that question exactly. So what we can do now is probably defer this decision and ask the staff to liaise more with the developer to answer those key questions that have been raised. So that would involve somebody suggesting that happens from the floor and a seconder to do that. Before we get to there,
One other
Councillor
thing.
Rawson.
Oh, yeah, councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'm happy for it to be deferred, but it just occurred to me that if the threshold for whether getting a traffic study from Traffic for New South Wales was whether or not the entrance was on their side of that block, I think is sort of irrelevant when you consider that the overflow parking has been designated as Rod Street, not Bullabula Way, but Rod Street around the corner. So, and we've established, I think, here that 9 spaces is just nowhere near enough. And look, there are parents and grandparents all here. We've all gone through this sort of mill. We know how long it takes to get in and out of something like this. People parking in and out takes time. It takes time to move the kids in and out. There's nowhere near enough parking for this sort of thing, and it's in a really dangerous location. And if the overflow parking is in fact on a main road, then it doesn't matter where the entrance to the building is, it really should be where the people are going to be. And if that's where they're going to be, we need to get an assessment. So that, if we're going to defer, that's something that should be considered.
Sorry, the drawing on page 26, where they've got the car parking running alongside it, along the back. But are they implying that those parking has to reverse out, or is it there's going to be room for it to turn around properly?
You have to be able to enter and leave a site in a forward direction. They're reverse bay parking, so it's not nose-in parking, it's rear to curb parking, and it's entering and leaving in a forward direction.
So the entrance and exit will both be the same place?
There's the one crossing onto Bullabula Way, and vehicles will be entering and leaving in a forward direction.
Rear into the building.
It needs to be designed in accordance with the Australian standard that has been also identified by the proponent and in the conditions of consent. And again, there could be alternatives such as dedicating some of those bays as drop-off bays rather than, say, staff parking. So again, the concerns of council can be taken back to the proponent to address, and they can then provide additional information that we can bring back as an addendum to this report.
So Councillor Jones is going to move that way, that we defer this and staff liaise with the proponent with the concerns that we have. Councillor Paul.
Yeah, it's just me going a second. Yep, that's why it was a quick wave.
Yep, thank you. All right, any further discussion on that? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Thank you, everybody. All right, that brings us to our closed section of the meeting.